Welcome, welcome. We'd like to welcome you to Man's Edition, presented by Creative Promotions. It's been a while since I've been here. I hadn't seen these brothers since last year.
Last year? You're dodging this brother.
Yes. So, I hope everybody's been enjoying this cold weather. I have been, because it's making me appreciate spring. I'm going to tell you right now. And if you're not a fan, I am. So I'm rocking my Lions gear. I have been all week. So anybody got a problem with it? Have a problem with it. So now, as usual, I like to have the gentlemen introduce themselves, because I always have this thing in life: no one can introduce you the way you can. So I'd like to start with my brother to my right here.
How you doing, Chef?
Oh, I'm amazing, man.
Okay.
I miss you, man. I
miss you too, my boy.
It's last year, man.
Hey, right.
I'm serious with this, man.
Well, as y'all all know, I'm Lee Polo, a.k.a. Leon. We here for our Men Edition. We back, first of the year, so we're going to kick it off and do our thing,
Thank you. And to my left here, welcome. We'd like to welcome you to Man's Edition, presented by Creative Promotions.
Oh.
It's been a while since I've been here. I hadn't seen somebody playing since last year.
That's all right.
Yeah, we are most definitely live, so.
We all the way live. Yeah.
We all the way live here. So we're going to start this back over. So to my left, I'd like to, brother, could you please introduce yourself? I know some people may already know you, but this is for the new listening audience.
Yes, sir. First and foremost, Happy New Year's to everyone. Happy New Year's to all my brothers.
Happy New Year's, my brother.
Yes, sir. How y'all doing? My name is Mr. Randy X. Thank y'all for having us once again. We would like to bring a positive message. Hope y'all enjoy it.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then we have a new face in the house and stuff, but I always tell people, friendly face always looks familiar. So you do look familiar to my brother. Mm-hmm. All right. So could you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Absolutely. My name is Carmen Smith. I'm new to the panel, to the podcast. So I just wanted to say hello to everybody. Hope everybody's staying warm, and we're going to get into this.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to get right into this. Going into the new year, we thought it would be a very good topic. Don't get knocked off your square. Now, that's going to look different for everyone.
Man.
We've all, going into this new year, we all set goals. So for one person, the square may represent your purpose in life.
Right.
For another person, it may represent your goals. Mm-hmm. And what are these goals going to be? Somebody may want to be a more attentive husband or father. Somebody may want to be a little bit better with their finances. So we're going to talk about these things and what it looks like when these distractions come your way. They can come in the form of your health, finances, relationships. I like to call character assassins. Okay, but one thing I stand firm on is staying committed to your commitments.
Right.
So what are we gonna do to attack all these things? We're gonna be unbothered. We're going to be unbothered, because life be life, and sometimes, and we talk about it and we laugh about that part right there. So I really need people to be unbothered in 2024 so we can stay focused on our goals and things that we set in front of us. And like I said, it's going to be different for everyone.
Right.
But when the distractions come in, I need you to know that's why they're there, to distract you. And please be unbothered for the things that are meant to bother you. So when you think about this, Randy, when you think about this show topic, what does that represent to you?
Don't get knocked off your square.
Yes.
Right. That actually is a beautiful topic. Right. It is. When y'all presented that to me and shared with me that that's what we was going to be talking about, I was like, wow, that's a beautiful thing, especially us having the brother Carmen on here. He have a beautiful journey. He's going to share it with y'all. But to get knocked off your square, first and foremost, when you just hear the word knocked, mm-hmm. that means that if you not founded in which you stand on and represent for yourself, you're going to be summer everywhere, right? So when you see the word square represents a box, mm-hmm. right? The box can represent the positive or negative, right? the box also can represent contentment, and that could be a positive and negative as well.
Absolutely.
So, we're going to get real deep with this topic. I don't want to say too much right now, but I'll just let y'all know that's what I seen as soon as you presented that topic to me.
Oh, thank you for that. So, Carmen, when you hear this title, what does it represent for you in your life?
I think for me personally, I was, thinking about it when I heard the topic and, talk with friends, whatnot, got their perspectives on the different meanings.
Yes.
But obviously, being focused in the simplistic way, it could be setting a goal, wanting to attain something, whatever the case may be, and you're so focused on it that you're unbothered by
Yes.
anything else. But it's very hard. I think a lot of times when people set goals, you have to understand that it's a process, and you're going to sometimes get knocked off your square, whatever the case may be. One of the best analogies I've ever heard about being focused on something was someone compared it to like a fasting. And they said when you're hungry and you're fasting, you don't have time to think about any other nonsense. You're focused on the task at hand, and you have to be that hungry to kind of pursue that goal that you've set, or whatever the case may be, commitment, marriage, being a good husband, whatever the case may be. You have to be that focused and unbothered, that hungry,
Yes.
to not be bothered by outside things. So
I like that.
Yeah, I like
Thank you
it.
for sharing it. Thank you for sharing. That was a good perspective. So, my brother Polo. So, what comes to mind for you?
For me,
Yes.
when I think about the topic, not getting knocked off your square, it's more or less like really looking at life. Somebody calling in? Oh, okay. It really, for me, is like looking at life from these dimensional situations, meaning like, okay, I can let this guy or this situation really knock me off my thing, or I can really turn it into something else, and now I'm looking at it from the perspective of how it can be good.
Absolutely.
And I ain't gonna say bad because bad is subjective. See, things sometimes, tragedy brings about reality. So sometimes when we have these tragic situations that knock us off our square, in reality, I needed that.
Yes.
So that's what makes it unbothered, because, okay, now that I really needed that, and I need that for that to be what's going to actually fulfill me and push me,
Yes.
and propel me to that next level,
Yes.
come on, bring it on.
I know that's right.
Bring it on. Yeah.
And now we've been saving the best for last.
Yeah.
We have a special guest here.
going on, gentlemen?
And please,
what's up, Todd?
I know a lot of people listening audience may already know you, but we may have some new people on. So if you can please introduce yourself.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm your boy B. Todd. I'm on the Rise and Grind morning show every Thursday, sometimes on a Wednesday. I'm also here every Wednesday night at 7 right here on Respectfully Speaking right after this show. So, and also award-winning. Talks with Todd. Yep.
Award-winning.
Yes.
Yeah. You heard it.
So, Todd, we're going to get right into this. The show topic for tonight, we're talking about don't get knocked off your square. We run around the table and we kind of explain what it represents in our life. I briefly open up with a lot of things, distractions will come your way, especially going into a new year.
Right.
And it's going to be different for everyone. It may be goals that you set. The square may represent your purpose in life. Maybe you sought out to be better in your finances, a better husband or father. For you, when you hear the show topic, what does it represent in your life?
In my life, it definitely represents me to just, keep practicing patience. I used to be bad with it. I've gotten better throughout the years with being patient, but I definitely want to get better at it, especially when it comes down to me being in my marriage and me being in this field. It's a lot of things that come with it, especially when it comes down to me balancing, being a podcaster and being a husband. I've hit a few bumps in the road with doing that, trying to find a balance with that. So, yeah, I definitely want to make it better, And like I said, I've been doing great throughout the years, but I also know there's room for improvement in both areas, actually. So, yeah.
Now, I think we probably would all agree in not being knocked off your square, and I think, Carmen, you may have touched base on this, and that very one thing is standing firm. So as you move throughout the year, and whatever the goal may be or the thing that you do not want to be distracted from, you're going to have boundaries and standards, right? Most definitely, you're going to have strong standards, right? And be unapologetic about it, okay, gentlemen? Be unapologetic about it. And when I look at that conversation that we had, Polo, is, and I'm going to go around the table because we, from the gentlemen that are on a panel right now on this podcast, I believe that we can be able to reach someone with our stories, right? And our understanding of this thing. Is it anything that stands out in your life, maybe just wrapping up last year, coming into this year, that maybe you can share with the audience that was maybe a big distraction that almost knocked you off your square, or indeed did, but then you had to recover? And if you can share like the ways or you did recover and get back on track.
I got something really, really quick, and it's really pertaining to us as a group. And last year, I missed the last show because I'm getting used to, as us being older, kids. Well, we used to be kids, and now we're older adults who got parents and aunties. Now we're helping to raise them. And so I couldn't make it because of that reason, and I had to really understand, like, the sacrifice, the change that I never thought would happen, where my parent or my auntie would need me in a way like I did, like they're my kid. And that kind of put me in a different perspective, because here go like what Todd saying, when you're trying to go after your goals and do these things, and people looking at it like, he just on a little show, it ain't nothing. And you like, this is what my life is. I really want to do this.
Right.
And people don't take your stuff serious, so you like, and I almost knocked me off my square for a minute, but through the grace of God, I was like, this is only a bump in the road.
Okay.
Because I still was able to be a part of the show by calling in and talking to you guys, and that's what I got to remember. You have to, not allow life to dictate what's the end going to be, because the end can only be a bump. It may be just that twist that you needed to look at it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Because guess what? By me being at home, that was one more caller, that was one more person viewing to help the numbers out.
Right.
Yes.
So you got to take it, look at it both ways.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So, Carmen, when you think about this, is it anything that's a situation or you can share that maybe happened in your life recently that pretty much either knocked you off your block, almost did, and then kind of explain your recovery process?
Sure. Well, with my journey, I'm still in recovery.
Okay.
So, within the last year, just over a year now, we got divorced.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and even leading up to that, it was like the way I could describe it was, you talk about a perfect storm or within yourself, whatever the case may be, where you kind of start to. I'm trying to explain this as clear as I can. I had been the type of person that would create a mental blueprint for the way I wanted my life to go, and it worked. Right? There's nothing that I can say. There's nothing that I personally have wanted that I have not gotten.
Okay.
Right? Just because of a blueprint, of a plan, of goals, and working towards those goals, right? Mm-hmm. And then you start to go through life and check off these boxes, check. And all of a sudden you're done checking boxes and you look around. And all of a sudden you don't know what to do anymore. Like, what's next? That's not the way to live necessarily. So going back into, with the help of, family, friends, ex-wife, those closest to me, those types of things, you have to kind of look deep inside yourself and realize you didn't unpack so much baggage. I didn't unpack so much baggage that I had, and that was needed to kind of be prepared to be where I was in life, and then things just fell apart. So one of the things I've learned, and one of the healthiest things I can say to any male is, for me, it's been therapy. That's one of the healthiest things, probably the healthiest things I've ever done in my life. Is I have a friend that says, when do you get 40, 50 minutes for somebody to just listen to you? It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen for us.
Yes.
So to have that, once a week, twice a week, whenever it may be, is a great tool. Use those tools and start unpacking your bag. And these things may have happened 3 weeks ago. They may have happened 40 years ago, but you need to unpack it so you can stand firm in the jobs or roles that you play today. Right? So I didn't do that. I learned the hard way. So you talk about being knocked off your square. When I've check, and all of a sudden, boom, I'm now reestablishing life and figuring out what the new normal is. Right? It's a scary feeling. It's not a good feeling. It's a scary feeling. But there's some purpose in it. That's what I found out. There's purpose in it.
Yes.
There's purpose for me. Like, things seem much more when I'm pursuing being on a panel with you guys or doing other speaking events or being with my students or whatever the case may be. It's a little bit more fulfilling because I know these are my true, your true purpose or the impact that you make. You can see it everywhere, versus sometimes you can't see it.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
So, one of the last things I'll share with you guys, one of the most important things I've learned from being knocked off your square is get right back on.
Yes.
So, and I had to learn the hard way because I'm one of those people that will sulk and sit there and time will pass me by. I will never forget it. My therapist said, shout out to him. He said one day, hey man, is there a black cloud following you or are you pulling it? So let it go, right?
Yes.
Let it go. You got to kind of deal with it and keep pushing.
Okay. I thank you for being very transparent with that. I think in our community, seeking any type of therapy is frowned upon.
Yeah, definitely.
But little do you know, when you pick up the phone and you call your friend, you're going to therapy, right?
Yep.
And so why not go to a trained professional that's not going to take sides, they're not going to agree with you because of the relationship and time that you have invested in that friendship, and you can get an honest opinion about you and your thoughts in the direction maybe you need to head in. So I thank you for sharing that part. We're going to talk more on that because we have people, and it's a hard road recovering from a divorce.
Yes, it definitely is.
I went through one, and it got real messy. You're talking about character assassin. You know what I'm saying?
I've been through it all, man.
Right.
So yeah,
and bashing of reputation. So I agree with you, Carmen. You get right back up. Let them have that reputation because you're building a new one. And there's one beautiful thing about you sharing that is when you're in that space and you have to rediscover yourself, you discover gifts and talents that you did not know you had that pressure brought out.
yeah,
Do you hear what I'm saying?
definitely,
Absolutely.
It's tough right there.
So really thank you for being transparent with that, because I believe that in the society that we live in today, a lot of people are dealing with broken relationships. Even if it's not a divorce, it's still a break, right? So, Randy, is it anything that you can share with the audience that maybe someone can relate to, being something that pretty much knocked you off your square, almost did, and then share briefly, how you recovered from that? Because we always sharing about what happens, but people need to know the solutions on how to get back on track. You understand?
Yeah.
So if you can do that briefly,
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I like how you responded to that. I like the testimony, brother. When you said broken relationship within the marriage, you know that we be married to ourselves,
All
right?
right.
So when you just said broken relationship, something kind of sparked in me,
Okay.
because I actually have, in the past, broke a relationship to myself. Right. When you carry yourself a certain type of way, right? And this is a show about being knocked off your square. Knocked off your square is the principles and the values that you withhold within yourself, right? So yes, I have been knocked off my square, right? Me and my cousin Polo, Lee Polo, we talked about this like a good month ago. You know, we always dialoguing and, you know, building with each other to make a better us, right? And one thing that I got to work on is prioritizing. Because sometimes, you know, a lot of people don't see your vision or believe in you like you believe in yourself. And a person may get mad at the other people for not believing in you or having faith in you, right? But you have to show and tell, right? You got to be able to continue to move within your square with your principles, morals, and values, and what you're doing, and always believe in yourself and encourage yourself daily. But I can say this. We need this in society nowadays, right? Within your circle or whoever you be around, we need each other to encourage one another and let us know when we doing something right instead of always pointing out when we doing something wrong.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
Right. We don't really need yes people around us. We need people to let us know when we doing something wrong, you know, because that means that you truly love the person or the people that you be around, and you really want to see the best in them. But far as being knocked off, you know, my square, moving forward, I got to prioritize better, right? I got to learn how to manage certain things, you know, better. I'm working on that as we speak right now. You know, hey, listen, this is funny. The brother chef always used the word transparency, right?
Yes.
Right? But listen, years ago, I actually didn't know what that word meant. So when a person shared that with me, he actually was giving me a compliment, but I took offense to it. Right? But I love the dictionary. I love to read. I learned to learn new things and things like that. So I went back and looked the word up. Right? I'm like, oh man, so I had to go apologize to the brother, right? I was like, thank you, brother. I didn't know you was actually giving me a compliment, man. I truly appreciate that. But I was man enough to admit that I was wrong, taking offense to just not being knowledgeable
Yes.
of a word.
Yeah.
You know? But moving forward, though, I'm going to continue to encourage and motivate myself and others that's around me, and that's how we can become better people in general.
Wow. So as I'm listening to you, you're actually saying sometimes it's not a thing, a situation. It can be our most inner thoughts that knock ourselves off the square.
Yep.
Your
Yes, sir.
thoughts. Wow. Isn't that something, people?
Yeah.
I've been there before.
Yeah,
You know? So,
Right before we give it to Todd, I just want to chime in for the people, the audience that's on YouTube.
Okay.
We got a lot of people that's chiming in. Everybody's saying mental health, therapy. They're definitely talking about transparency. So we definitely hitting the ball in the right direction, fellas.
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for chiming in. So, we got a caller or something? We're good? Okay, so, Todd, is it a situation that it can be recent or something a while back that you can reflect to that pretty much knocked you off your square? And then once again, just your journey of getting back on course, what did that look like for you?
Man, so there was a situation where I wasn't in a good space with my kid's mother, and she would like do whatever she could to make everything harder as far as the kids was concerned, coming back and forth. You know, when they with me, they're fine. As soon as I drop them off, it's a problem. It was just ridiculous. Like he was explaining earlier, divorces get nasty and they get messy. My biggest problem was, okay, you can make it messy with me, but don't make it messy with the kids. Right. We both still need to be in their lives. We both need to still function and try to work together for their well-being. And it was almost like it wasn't sinking in for her. It was like it was a game. As soon as the kids come back, to me, I got to rewire them. Something that she did wrong or whatever. I send them back. She calling me or texting me with extra problems. They were just fine. They were fed. They took showers. What is the problem? Right. It was like it was always something, and it stressed me out. Like to the point where I ended up in the hospital at least maybe 2 or 3 different occasions due to stress. So I had to take a stress test, run on the treadmill, see how my heart rate got up and all of that. And I finally just said, you know what? what good am I gonna be to my kids if I'm dead? You know,
That's real.
Well, how am I gonna be here for them? How am I gonna try to look out for them and do what I need to do for them if I'm not here? So I had to get to a point where I had to get mentally strong first. So when I got mentally strong, which therapy took place with that, and just me talking to myself sometimes, asking for that strength, asking God for that strength, it helped out a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I had to find an anger outlet as well, and
Right.
that's where podcasting took place. So I started my whole channel off of me talking about what I've been through and how you don't need to make the mistakes that I made by choosing the wrong person to have kids with, because this is the outcome. So I had to take those steps, and ever since then, once I realized I was helping people with my platform, it helped me get better as well. Like, oh, I'm actually helping people by talking about my struggle. All right, well, let me keep it going. Let me tell them what else not to do. Let me help them. Let me guide them, because I don't want to hear no more stories like mine. My story foul, but it's on me. Yeah, it is like that, So, yeah, it helped out a lot.
Okay.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. And in my situation, it was much like you, Carmen, and you, Todd. I was involved in a divorce that was very messy, domestic. It was a domestic violence situation. I never had a chance to come out and tell my side of it, because what God said to me, and I believe it may have been a Holy Spirit, it's no need.
Okay.
It's no need. And I realized that part, and when I wrote down this week about character assassins, most people will do that trying to cover their tracks, so no one questions their character.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So I had to say to myself, something came to me and it said, well, just allow this person's life to be their lesson. And that's when I first came into being unbothered, right? So I had to tap into my other gifts that I had. We're doing my chef business, podcasting, right? And I soon left those things behind, and I realized how important it was to be unbothered, because in any situation in life, it's always something meant for you to learn if you pay attention, right? If the thing or the event is louder than you listening to the lesson, you're going to repeat it. You most definitely going to repeat it.
That's true.
So when I walked away from this thing, my recovery was being unbothered, tap into the things that God had, gifts that He gave me, right? That took my mind away from this. So, moving forward, even with this show, I want to ask everybody, if you had a situation in your life that you think about now that you had to be unbothered by, even though it was something large, but how did you navigate through being unbothered? Because a lot of people will hear that, right? So you can't avoid the thing happen. You can't avoid you made a mistake. So how do you move from being unbothered, right? So my explanation is stay focused, take the lesson, things you were supposed to learn, so you don't have to repeat it. Have accountability. Don't deny the thing. Look it straight in the face.
Yeah.
Right? Look it straight in the face. So the next time this thing comes for you, right, it may come through a different form, finances, health. You just learn to say, okay, let me just calm down for this second. Be patient. Take my time and walk this thing through. Right? So is there anything that you can share about a story about in your life where you had to be unbothered?
Definitely. I want to first let people know this is a live show. Y'all can call in at 313-266-2811. Please call in. We would love to hear what y'all guys got to say. But to answer your question, Chef, literally, I had to learn that. You just said it, so you already hit the key. It's to stop. I had to learn to stop. Because as men, we are taught to do what? When something hit us, hit it back.
Yeah.
We're not taught to stop.
Yeah.
We're not taught to take a moment, process what just happened. I saw an accident the other day, and I was driving by, and I looked at the accident, and I stopped, and I just looked like, wow, because I could have been in that accident, and I had to process that, because so many times in life we just keep going fast, and we just disregard that I could have been in that accident.
Yep.
But I stopped and pulled over, and it wasn't to be gawky at the accident, because it was just like a fender bender, but I would have been in there had I not been paying attention.
Right.
And then I had to process that God told me to pay attention for a reason. So I do all that because we don't tell people those things. We just go through life like, oh, that just happened. But it takes a second to get in trouble and a lifetime to get out of it.
Absolutely.
So we have to really be very conscious about those decisions that we're making. So now I'm like, okay, let me just stop for a minute. Okay, thank you, guys. And then I'm gonna keep on going.
Yep.
Point it out, sell by.
There you go.
Point it out, sell. Let's go.
You guys you can go if you like.
Yeah, for sure. One of the biggest things, I think, again, back to divorce, for myself and from the things I've read and talked about, it's been spoken to about, the shame in it for men. I know what happens on both parties. All I'm saying, both sides. All I'm saying is the shame in divorce of a man getting divorced and how that feels, and then the judgment that comes along with that. That you feel it. I feel like I feel like I felt it. I feel it, and I felt it everywhere I go. Right, within your community, within your job, whatever the case may be. Right, things are different now. What's going on? But you just feel this shame. So one thing I've learned from that, right, and I always knew these things always existed. Right, so I think the four of us already know whatever you want. The five of us, whatever you want, you have to practice. So being unbothered is a practice.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
So we have to find the most effective ways to be unbothered. Right. So for me, or what does that look like for me? That may mean that I get up in the morning and I read, and I read my Bible. I read a verse, or I read one of my plans. That may mean that I walk on the treadmill or run on the treadmill for a little bit. That may mean that I journal, right? Yes. Or I have to do all this stuff before I leave the house, or I'm not right.
Yeah.
I'm off. Right?
Yes.
So, but if I do those things, I can be a little bit unbothered. Right?
Yes.
In addition to that, one of the greatest questions I've ever heard through a podcast, and I could not tell you the name. I could not tell you the name of the speaker, but she was saying about negative self-talk, right? And the negative self-talk, one of the phrases that came out of that, she said, "Who told you that?" Or "Who told you?" So who told you that you should be ashamed? Who told you that you were this, that? This negative, characteristic, whatever the case may be. Who told you that? Because God didn't tell you that. Absolutely. So where's it coming from?
Right.
So it's one of those things. Like, ask myself that. Where's that coming from? Right. So practice, put things in place in which it becomes a practice to be unbothered. And then when you have those things, because they're going to come back, hit you in the face, hit you in the face, hit you in the face. What did I hear about critics? It said the critic is always in the car with you. The critic, you want to get the critic to the trunk. The critic wants to be in the driver's seat. Right?
like that.
Right?
Yeah.
But the bottom line is the critic never leaves the car. Never leaves the car. But you want to get it to the trunk. Get out of there. But it's always there.
Yeah, definitely. That's real.
That's tough. I like that.
I like that. How about yourself, Randy?
I was hey y'all, that was y'all did a good job. Like I really feel each one of y'all testimony and sharing that. I was really in deep thought when both of y'all was talking, expressing y'all, opinions about how y'all was unbothered, and it took me back from when I was locked up, and what I had to do to continue to focus on walking the journey and getting out of prison. With my sanity, I had to suppress death. So when you said, what did we do to cope with and kind of deal with being unbothered by me being locked up a long time, I really had to suppress my emotions and my feelings for losing all my loved ones while I was locked up like that. You know, that was really deep. You know what I'm saying? To have to embrace death, like I was really numb from it. Because if you express yourself like that while you locked up, losing a lot of loved ones, you'll lose your man in there, man.
Wow, that's
You see what I'm saying?
yes, I do.
I remember I was talking to this little young guy in the day room, and he was only 21 years old, and he said that everybody around him has been dying. He's seen them die and been dying, right? And I was like, so how did you deal with that, young fella? He said, I just don't care about living no more. He said he done seen so many people die in his life, and he only 21 years old, he didn't even care about living no more.
That's crazy.
When I heard him say that, and me trying to get out of prison after doing all those years and dealing with death in there, that just had me in a deep thought, and I'm like, wow, this is deep. So I was trying to figure out a way to really help the youth out while I was in there. So this comes along with being out here right now. We got to figure out a way to help our youth, right? But it's one thing for sure that I understand that the youth pay attention to. When you share something with them, they got to see it in your actions.
Yep.
Because if not, you're going to be a pump faker to them. So now the question I say to myself, you know, you got to be true to yourself in everything that you do. You know?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
So when I'm listening to you guys, and as I listen, I always do this. So even though each and every statement and story and you guys shared was different, one thing I think that had in common was accountability of the thing, right? And then learning how to be transparent to help other people, I think is a really, really big thing. And even with sharing these stories, and I'm listening to you guys, and I've seen your journey even since I've known you. And I'm going to say this, no matter what happens with situations in your life, don't leave the best part of you in a bad situation. You can't. A lot of people say, I'll never do this again. I'm going to stop caring. No, that's what God gifted you with,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Most people will leave their talents, right, in a bad situation because they'll disconnect from life and people, trying to play it safe so they never feel that hurt or that pain or that disgrace or that shame again, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
and then they put themselves in a box.
Right.
That sometimes they never get out, or it takes some years. But then in these years of this time that you box yourself in, you've closed the door on so many opportunities.
Yeah. Definitely.
That's real.
You know, so many opportunities. So as we talk about being unbothered, we're not saying just have no emotions about the thing. It's okay to be concerned about the thing, but what we're not going to do is let it consume us.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And that's when you come to the part when you're unbothered. You have to, because you can't go back and change time or anything that a wrong decision you made, or maybe something that did not work out the way that you planned. So you have to gather up your things, brush off your knees, and keep it moving.
Yeah. As far as being unbothered, it goes back to what you were saying. It also, I got to follow up with saying you got to know who you're dealing with when it comes down to not being bothered. Like, I knew going in through my divorce, my ex was gonna slander my name all through the internet, right? And I knew her little Master Splinter friends was gonna follow up, right? I already knew this was gonna happen.
Right.
So with me knowing that was gonna happen, at first I'm like, why is she doing this? This is embarrassing. We have kids. We still have to interact with each other. But then I started to say, you know what? Why am I shouldn't even be surprised. This is her. She's been consistently showing me her up until the demise of our marriage.
Right.
So this is, you know what? This is fine. Because at the end of the day, I know what's going to happen. Whether I fall into it and play the game with her or not, at the end of the day, she's going to receive her karma way worse. Because I was trying my best not to even put our business out there. I watched her from the jump do it all by herself, even while we were actively still trying to cope with each other. And it was just like, okay, this girl, she's grown, but she hasn't grown up. So, all right, I know what I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with she's mentally 16 years old, but she's supposed to be 27 or whatever her age was at the time. So I had to understand that. So on top of me knowing who I'm dealing with, I'm understanding what I'm going through, who I'm dealing with. Now it's just about how am I gonna deal with it now? I have to maintain my focus with my kids. I have to stay focused on what's more important. Is it responding to her nonsense, or is it being there for my kids? I had to look at what was more important, and that was more important.
Right.
Being there for my little ones, like spending time with them, having fun with them, and trying to enjoy what time we had together instead of focusing on the negative.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, like I said earlier, the kids need both of us, but one of us has to maintain some type of focus when it comes down to what they need.
Right.
So
actually, what you're saying, when I listen to you, and I recently learned about emotional intelligence.
yeah.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
That's my subject.
Right, right. And that's that ability to understand the person that's in front of you,
Right.
and then also to control your own. But when I'm listening to you, you had emotional intelligence. You say, okay, I know who I'm dealing with. And I went through it too.
Yeah.
And I said, I already know what's about to happen and stuff because I've seen them do it to other people,
Right.
even their own family members. So I said, shoot, I know what I'm about to get, right? So emotional intelligence, that's a whole nother conversation. And I think that helps you to be unbothered.
Yes.
That's one of the biggest components.
Come on now. I know you want to say something, but what you want to say about that? Carm, you got something to say about the emotional intelligence? Please, go ahead.
No, I'm just trying to kind of shape it in my head as far as how we deal with others. I think it's just more of a self preparation. Like I know I'm about to walk into this conversation.
Yeah.
I already know what the tone is. I already know what tone bothers me, triggers me. Knowing what your triggers are, right?
Yes.
And for you to already expect those things in your head, so you can kind of put them aside, like already. So then you become unbothered by it because you already thought about it, right? You already got the scouting report. Yeah, it's already ready. But I have to do that in a professional manner. I have to do that every day.
Okay.
I know I'm walking into an angry parent meeting. I know I'm walking into a tense situation. So I already know it's coming at me. So I have to. It's almost like you put on I don't even know what to call it, a cloak or something. So it just bounces off of you. It's preparation.
That's, thanks for sharing that. I mean, I'm feeling some vibes. You something you want to add over here?
I'm talking about, see, that emotional intelligence, that hits home because literally as men, we are taught to be emotionless.
Yes.
We are taught to be emotionless. So when you say emotional intelligence, you mean I got to learn how to grab something inside of me and calm it down, such as what Carmen's saying? Because I'm walking into this, I'm already seeing the frustration. Or I got this woman that I used to love and like, and you telling me I got to not love and like her no more, but still be friends with her?
Right.
Like, I deal with this. My brain it ain't geared for that.
Yeah.
So now I got to learn intelligence of my emotions so I can navigate through the world. Man, okay, man, I'm telling you, I'm about to get hyped now. I'm trying to calm down.
I agree, man. I'm thankful. That's the one thing I am thankful about when it came down to me going to jail. Right. I had no choice but to gain my emotional intelligence while I was sitting down. Had no choice. So I was sitting there. I'm mad at the world at first, but then as I'm starting to like play everything back in my head, like, yo, you did this, right. So you ain't got nobody to blame but yourself. Right. Once I started taking that accountability, that's when the emotional intelligence kicked in. Like, okay, you know what? This on you, bro. It's just on you, man. Right. You did this. Did nobody tell you to mess with this girl, not use protection on more than one occasion? Right. Did nobody do that but you? Mm-hmm. So, hey, you made your choice. Now you need to figure a way to, to maneuver it to your liking. Yep. And that was that.
Yes. Yeah. I think one of the biggest things, too, we can put out, advice put out examples of what we've been through or examples that we have. But one of the biggest things to ever understand and accept, I think, about ourselves is that consistency is one of the hardest things to be ever, right? Being consistent day in and day out. I am not consistent day in and day out. And anyone that knows me knows that. So you're gonna have bad days.
Yeah.
You're gonna have days where you were not unbothered. You were straight up bothered.
Right. Yes.
And you reacted. There's gonna be those days. But you acknowledge it and know in your head that you're working on it. Tell those people in which you responded to that you were bothered and that you'll work on it. And accept that you're the toughest critic and it's hard to be consistent. But that's what the goal is, right? That practice of being consistent. I'm working on it.
We all are.
So you have to accept that you're not going to be perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we're coming to the end of the show. And I know we've been having a ball, right? So if you're just tuning in, we were talking about don't get knocked off your square. And that square represents, if you've been listening to the show this evening, it represents something different for everyone at this table tonight, right? So hopefully with us sharing and being transparent, someone out there can relate to it, because we do podcasting, right? And it's not to entertain you, right? It's just to share our life experiences. I always say, I didn't go to school for this. I'm life certified. So I'm only talking about things I went through and how I came out of it. And then hopefully it can touch one or two. And if Randy share his story, it can touch one or two. Carmen share his story, it can touch one or two. Same like way with Polo and Todd, right? And then we did our job. Because you have not did anything on this earth if you not help someone. Right? And the best way to do it in church, they call it your testimony, right? So then being transparent is another way. So the shame of it that you said, right, Carmen? Mm-hmm. So what about shame, right? So what? I'm going to share it so somebody else don't have to go through the shame.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
You feel what I'm saying? Don't do what I did. I did it for you. I made the mistakes for you. I tell my kids all the time, I'm about to tell you about this thing about life, and this is what it's going to look like. So in that process, it was a little embarrassing, but I had to, because I love my children so much. I didn't want to see them go through what I did.
Right.
So I had to swallow the shame, the embarrassment, right, and be humble myself, right, because my children look at dad as being the hero, perfect, pretty much. You know how your children look at you. So you have to say, well, no, dad made his fair share of mistakes, and you will make yours, right? But we're not going to stay there.
Right.
We're not staying there. That's not what we're doing. And I think when I will get back to the reason why we're doing this, and one of our mission statements for the shows is building up men one show at a time. We can't do it all in one episode. Right, but we have enough life experience here where we can share with you guys what this looks like, and it's not a first time for anyone, right? Other people just been better at hiding it, right? And that's where the shame come in, because you be like, man, am I the only one? No, it's been other people. They just been better at hiding it.
Yep.
100%. 100%.
And you know what? When you just, I love words. So when you just said shame, like a lot of us will be ashamed of a certain situation, certain things that happened, that occurred, and things like that. Actually, ashamed, when a person be ashamed, a person actually is identifying that a person is taking pride on moving and walking in a certain type of light.
Absolutely.
Because you're not going to be ashamed unless you care how people view you.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's for the better you.
Mm-hmm. So as we wrap up this episode, I like to come back, and I was talking with everybody. We got some pretty hot topics coming on in 2024, right?
Yes, sir.
So you guys just be prepared. You'd be like, are they really talking about this? Yes, we are. Because we talking about that elephant in the room. No longer can we just act like it doesn't exist. That's why we can't grow in our communities, everybody wants to be seen in the perfect light.
Yeah. Nah, I'd rather give you a balance.
Yeah, well, superb balance.
Yes.
Right. So, coming up for the new calendar year, hold on to yourself, because we're going to be talking about some things, right? We're going to keep it nice sometimes, but we're going to be real open with this. So you can join us here Wednesdays at 6 o'clock, as well as Vaquita Taylor, Q for Creative Emotions. She always has some amazing guests on. You can also reach her at Poetry and Conversation. You can reach me now here on Facebook page, Fred Wilson. Recently have been appointed to Health Commissioner for Good Fathers Only. And I thank God for that opportunity. Real quick, is there anywhere you guys would like to say?
Yes.
Reach out
I
for
want
your
to say one
platforms?
thing, right?
Uh-huh.
The title of this show was Not Get Knocked Off Your Square.
Mm-hmm.
We normally always say the spiritual. So we kind of got away from that, but I want to just say this before it's over with. The only way a person gets knocked off of the square if your foundation is not solid with God.
Okay.
All right.
That's real.
Amen, bro.
So, wrapping it up, I always say, Q said, I love you and ain't nothing you can do about it. Over here, we saying all we got is love for you. And we're going to leave you with that, period, and some knowledge, right? And that's period. So you guys have an amazing evening. Stay warm in this cold weather. Protect yourself, okay? And embrace it.